Yeah, I know. The registers are pretty darn noisy. Okay, so I'm back home. And still in my work. I was like, oh, I got today off probably, and then 2 days ago, I was looking forward to having today off, and then I won't have to be in my work clothes. I could wear some nice clothes for you guys for once. But I just got back from doing an assessment on that house, on the trailer there. Let's talk about it a bit. Okay, so you guys remember when I said that? Okay, so I got my small chainsaw, my little tree piranha. I love my little tree piranha, the MS 162 still. And then I've got my mid-size saw, which is the best saw that ever existed in human history. Fight me, fight me. My MS 400. I love that saw. I love that saw. But the job I looked at today, I'm not going to take it, and it has nothing to do with the saw's capability, but because it could do that job no problem. But it's not the sawing angle of it that's the problem. It's everything else. The house, breaking my two golden rules. Number one, I don't fall trees near houses unless it's like I know 100% I can get away with it. Like if it's a little tree like this and it's not going to do any damage whatsoever, and I can manhandle it. Sure, you get trees like this. Okay, it's twisted, leaning towards the house. Yeah, okay, you need like need come alongs and or a skidder or something to pull it the opposite way. I just won't touch that stuff because I'm not insured, and you know maybe you start pulling it that way and the top snaps back, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. Usually people when they want a tree taken away, it's a dead tree, right? They don't say okay that tree's dying. Maybe I should take it down early while it's easy. No, we're gonna wait till it's so brittle that you look at it the wrong way, it snaps, right? And then all kinds of stuff can go wrong with that. So I don't fall trees near houses. I don't fall trees near power lines because I had a client, or have a client that remember the Husky 272 that I nearly got, the AKA the tree calm. That saw would have been perfect for this job because of the size of this tree. Although my MS 400 can handle it, a bigger saw would be better. So that's why I'm gonna have my little saw, my medium saw, and then my third chainsaw is going to be a super big chainsaw, like just dumb big, like kind of like why did you buy that kind of big, like gobs of power and stuff like that. So that leaves me, and it's going to be a still. That leaves me with a handful of saws, right? You can kind of figure out if you look at every saw above the 400 or the 400.1, whichever stills got on their website right now. Uh, those there's one, two, three, four saws bigger. Like my saw is the fifth largest saw still makes, right? And it's like the perfect in the middle of the road saw. But one giant saw would be perfect for this kind of job. Not required, but make life a little bit easier because you have more torque if the tree's a little bit frozen or whatever, a little heavier, a little dense. Uh, like I say, my MS 400, no problem. But have a big saw and then have the 400 as the backup on jobs like this, and then use the 400 for just about everything else. So once in a while, when you get a tree like this or bigger, or a tree's bigger than this, you might want a bigger saw. And not that, like I say, not that my saw can't handle that, but that's why, like next year, hopefully, I can get that last big saw and have it for the rest of my life. And, if I cut like enough trees with it to pay for itself, I'll be happy. It's just have it when I need it. It's kind of like the power sweeper. My buddy and I are like contemplating whether if we're only going to use it 3 times a year. It's like a $1,900 tool, right? That would take forever to recoup it. But but then when you have it, you know what I mean. It's kind of like my pole arm chainsaw. I knew I needed one, but now I knew now I know just how valuable the damn thing is, right? It's just wow. I could even use it on this job for some of the stuff, um, but I chose not to because there's almost no way for like cutting getting the tree down is not really that much of an issue. Getting it down safely without damaging the trailer is probably a 70% chance I'm going to do more damage, even if I can do it safely, right? The 5% issue is the deal breaker. It's 95% chance I could get that tree on the ground without, safely, right? But there's that 5% chance that I die because of the power line, right? So that's why I don't cut trees near power lines, because like what happened to my client was a guy she got the guy that was cheaper. He started following the tree went into the power line, Quebec Hydro came along and they got a $12,000 bill, right? So, you know what I mean? He didn't do it on purpose, but, and this guy was very, very experienced with, this guy, this guy worked in the bush almost his entire life. This guy knows how to follow trees. But trees are trees. Trees are like 2-year-olds. You never know what they're going to say in public. They're going to embarrass you in public, right? I know as a 2-year-old, I loved embarrassing my parents in public because I know I was aware that I was being an ass clown, and it's like, I'm cute and I'll get away with it. Do it now. Trees are the same way. If they can cop an attitude on you and look at you funny, they'll do it. You know what I mean? And this tree, I thought it had broken. It was smaller at the top than what I thought, but it was actually bigger it was bigger than I thought. But I thought it had broken off to the point where it was going to be on this side of the power line and this side of the roof, almost completely with just like little stuff I could pull down with the rake. But it wasn't. There was a branch like this big and that thick at the Y, and that branch was already touching the power line. And when I cut it and drop, it's guaranteed not only would it roll, but that branch would probably come up and hit the power line. So my solution would have been, okay, go up on the roof and cut any branches that could possibly touch the power line, so that when you're at the edge of the roof, you maybe have this much tree hanging onto the roof. But the way it broke on the roof, it's still partially attached. It created a bow in it, so as soon as you drop the butt, the tree's going to roll right into the trailer. And the question is, because the logs, it'll be a log on an angle like this, is it going to roll and slip off and go through the wall, right? So it's like the odds are like 40% chance it's going to go through the wall. So it's just too high. Again, if they didn't care about the trailer, I'd just start cutting and whatever, no problem. But this tree's just too big to manhandle, so it's like, at the base, it's probably 24 inch or whatever, 28 inch at the base. I got to measure it. So you just can't get a cat dog and do the wiggle thing and drag it back and play it safe like that. And the fact that there's branches touching the power line is just, if it did ground out, I'm dead. It's like a million to one chance that it would ground out and kill me. Because I know what everyone's going to say. I know what they're going to type in the comments. No, Reg, those lines are so well shielded, blah, blah, blah. And about 10 times a year, I hear of people that are doing the exact same thing, exact same scenario, and they end up dead because they ground out. Why? Because shit happens. Somebody has to be that 1,000,000 to 1 odds. Somebody has to win the lottery, right? It's just what lottery you're going to win. And if it's like, okay, 5% chance of dying is just too high of a risk for me. So unfortunately, I have to let my client know that she's going to have to get a tree removal service in. I can maybe save her a bit of money by saying, okay, well, either you get them to clean them all up and whatever, get a quote with it all cleaned up, and then get a quote with it, if they just could put the tree on the ground so that I can cut it up. I can cut that thing up, no problem. Well, I'm not saying no problem, but I can cut that thing up, right? So if they get 2 quotes, and if it's cheaper, she's going to have to keep me in the loop no matter what, because if let's say it's an extra, to clean up those trees is an extra $2,000 or something like that, or $3,000 or whatever it is, I'll say, don't even bother doing that. Just get them to safely put it on the ground where I can saw it up. If I can saw it up, I'll get rid of it for a couple of $100. You know what I mean? Fuel plus, the truck use. I'll have to use my dad's truck, or my wheelbarrow. I'm literally her neighbor, so okay, it'd be very slow getting about 4 quarter wood blocks of wood out of there. whatever. But I'd do it over like the spring or whatever. It'd be fine. Do it over the summer or whatever. But I'll save her money, lots of money. So I might actually have to call her instead of email her, and then I'll explain it to her. Like if you get a tree service in there, like if they coordinate with me, like it'll be perfect because I'll say, okay, look, you guys just get the tree down, to keep it as cheap for my client as possible. Get the tree on the ground for me, and I'll sod up. I'll deal with that part, because I'll be cheaper than they will be no matter what. If they mulch it, they got to bring in the mulcher. Like that tree job could probably cost her potentially $5,000 to $8,000 just to do that, right? So, like again, it hurts me to tell her no, but like what's my life worth, right? And if you want to save the trailer, even with the proper equipment that could, maybe they bring in a small crane or something like that to lift the tree off. A lot of times that's what they do, because that's the only way you can really do it without doing more damage. And even at that, you're gonna probably do damage. So if a professional tree trimming service or removal service is probably going to do slight damage, more damage to the trailer, just getting that tree off there. Guy with just a chainsaw is definitely going to do a lot more damage. So, it's whatever's going to benefit my client the most is what I got to do. My 2 golden rules are, which that breaks both my golden rules. So it puts my integrity to the test. Okay, do I go against my own rules of not falling tree, because I didn't technically fall tree. I'll be removing a fell tree, right? So, so no falling trees near houses and no falling trees near power lines. Like there's always an assessment. Like if it's a really, really small tree that you can, you're not going to hit the tree. Like I have the same problem at the end of my driveway, right? Which trees can I get rid of? Which I got to really strategically, and you're going to see this all me doing this. I'm going to be on a ladder. Okay, I got to take that branch, get it out of the way, take that branch, tie it off, pull it that way, take that branch, pull it that way, because some of it is entangled in the power lines, right? I might have to leave it. So if I only end up leaving like 2 trees, fine. Quebec Hydro can deal with that. Maybe they come along one day and they just zip it off for me so I can fall it, right? I don't know why they don't just do that. Like any tree that's touching the power line, just fucking get rid of it. It's going to be a problem later on. Like I get it. It takes a long time to do this and they only have so much of a budget, but just start doing it. You know what I mean? If you're going to clear the ditches underneath the power lines, any trees that are there, you might as well take the tops off of them. Maybe they're going to do it at a later date. I hope so. Like instead of hiring more like clerical government workers, we need more public works guys like that. Because like you could take the entirety of the government, say, okay, we're going to take the entirety of the government, and all they're going to do is just clear all the power lines in the country. You'd still have to double the government to be able to do that in a lifetime. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just there's a lot of line there, right? There's a lot of line there. So, but anyway, that's where I'm at. That's the assessment. It took me 3 good looks at it but today I got a really, really good look at it. And it was just like, okay, now. And I looked at the tree from both sides. And you got to look at it from like 20 different angles. And, like you look at this, oh, it looks good. That's why when people say, oh, I'll send you a picture. Can you do this job? I'll send you a picture. I said, I'd rather come and look at it. Oh, no, I'll just send you a picture, save you the drive out here. I said, no, I'm going to charge you for the drive out there when I have a car, right? I'll do the assessment, but I'll know right there and then, because like a lot of times you look at, oh, that's no problem. Then we go and you look at it, it's like, oh shit. When you look at it from this angle, it's like, okay, that tree looks nice, perfect tree like that, but when you look at it from the other angles, it's like a Twizzler, and yeah. Like for example, Paul and I did a tree. It was snapped in half. It was an alder, a giant alder. I mean, this thing was massive, and it had a lean going the wrong way. In hindsight, we probably shouldn't have done it, but we said we were going to do it. And I looked at it because I said yes because he said yes, right? So he said, "Yeah, we're going to do a tree job. You want to help me?" I said, "Sure." And I went and I looked at it. And I took one look at it. I was like, "Oh, here's the problems we're going to run into," right? And we did. But I got the tree down. Very, very tricky to get it down. But I got it down, and when it fell, because of the way it was snapped and the way it was angled, it was kind of like this. It just sat there, and it was leaning towards the power line. So we had a come along on it, and we had to get the top over like this, and we got it. It was 45 minutes just to get the top over. It took us 2.5 hours to get this tree down. I mean, the butt of it was like, that big. I mean, it was huge. It was just massive. And I, at the time, was using my buddy's 372, and it had a new chain on it, but that bar wasn't in the best of shape, and it had the lip on the bar, so I was getting snagged in it. My buddy tried to cut it first, and then it started to barber chair a bit and whatever. I was like, okay, here, let me do it. I got a little more experience with the chainsaws. Trust me. So I was able to save it, but I had to do a really strange cut trick kind of thing. I did it. Okay, pull, cut, and then when it went, it was gone. I was like, okay, we're good. The hard part's done. Okay, now we just got to do let's pull out our spleens, kind of trying to ratchet this damn thing over, pulling it. Once we got it over, it was on the ground. I was like, whoo! And then I grabbed my little chainsaw and grabbed this big chainsaw. But then again, it was like I had two little chainsaws. I had Mini Beast with me at the time. He still lived on the porch there. And the tree piranha, Mini Beast and the tree tangerine, the one that little husky. I love that little saw. I don't regret selling it to my dad. I gave it to my dad, but my dad just wouldn't accept it as a gift. He said, "No, here's $200," and he loves it. But I thought it was a great little saw. It was just so zippy. Mini Beast was zippy. Like, that thing was just an angry little saw. Like the 31 cc's of just pure fucking fury, right? I love that saw. Like the MS 170s, if you can find them brand new on sale, like buy 3. Like, just buy a lifetime supply, because you're gonna sleep with these things, hugging them. Just make sure you shut them off, because they'll be like a teddy bear to you. You can just love them just because they're such an angry little saw. The size of trees I fell with the tree piranha or Mini Beast is just like. It's like that saw punches above its weight, like you wouldn't believe. The 162 is a better saw, but it's actually slightly a bit heavier, a little bulkier, but it's a more torquey saw. But the thing is the Mini Beast was just so cleaning up that big tree with the little saw, getting all the branches with that, was like zip, 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 zip. My buddy, he was so exhausted with the 272, right? This is where, if I had the 400, but I also had the the Sasquatch going, the 270 and the 260. The 260 is perfect for that. The only thing about the 260 is the biggest bar I think you can put on it is 22 inch or 24 inch, which is okay. If you wanted it just as a limbing saw, it'd be phenomenal. I wish you could get like a 28 inch, limbing bar, but it doesn't have the power to do it. But that would be awesome, because it'd be so light. You could just, it'd be like you'd feel like you're like a medieval knight with like a sword with a chain on it. It'd be great. So that's the assessment. It also it gives me a good idea of what tool, when you come up to something like this where you have to refuse the job, there's a list of things that's like, okay, the reason why I'm doing it is primarily this reason, but here's some other reasons of stuff, like not having come-alongs, stuff like that. Ladders, proper ladders. I got lots of ladders, but they're all short ladders, except for the one at the side of it. So yeah, if I want to do stuff like that, even if I was able to say, yeah, I could do this, no problem, and there was no risk of the power line or anything like that, and they were like, okay, well, it's going to we're probably going to do a little bit, possibly more damage taking this thing off. And they said, okay, yeah, but I still got to get on the roof, right? So I need a ladder. So there's something that I got to put on the list. Okay, it's not a top priority, but jobs like that become arborist ladders are they're god awful expensive, but it's what you need, right? So that's where that's landed. That's where that's ended up. I still got a couple of tree jobs that I got to finish up. Well, I mean, this time of year it's like the chainsaw gets a lot of use, but that's the kind of stuff that I do usually do. But usually it's like it's across a driveway or something like that where it doesn't matter, right? And you can cut it up. But when those trees are on the ground, if depending on what she's quoted by the arbor, like by the tree removal service, it's not going to be cheap. Like I feel bad for the lady. It's just I'll only do jobs that I can do safely. You know what I mean? Like I won't take a gamble with other people's places. I won't take a gamble with my life. So maybe she knows somebody that'll be able to try it, but I really you're not just going to get a guy with a chainsaw on that. You need equipment. Unless you don't care if the building gets damaged more, right? But there's no just cutting it without pinching your saw is a tricky enough job. I know how to do it because I've done it enough, but that one there, you really got to think your cut out. How you're going to execute the cut, especially if you don't have another big backup saw, right? So what you do when you get your saw stuck in, let's say hypothetically you do a tree job like that, you get your saw stuck in there. What you do is with the other saws, you free up your first saw first. Because what happens is the tree's going to go it's going to go like this as it comes down, right? And there's a point in the tree where it will crush in on itself again. So if the tree's like this and you're cutting and it starts to, okay, it's coming, but then it jams somewhere around, about that far from the top. Your saw will be stuck, pinched at the top, thinking that your tree's just going to keep coming down like this. Like if this is your log, you think it's just going to go like this as you cut from the bottom. That's what everybody thinks, but it doesn't. What happens is this, and then you got this is part starting to push back this way. Once it gets past the pendulum of the center, it's no longer pushing away from itself. It's now pushing into itself. Okay, and then this one is coming down because it wants to slide down, but they're locking each other in place. And if your bar's there, it gets locked in there too. So either carry a couple of spare bars. It's cheaper than saws, but free up your bar first. Now let's say you got a bar stuck in there. It's not the end of the world. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can come up again underneath, right beside the bar, make about 4 or 5 cuts underneath. It's a pain in the ass to do it that way. You could score on top, not right where your cut is, but just a little bit before or aft. Okay, I usually, depending on which way the tree is, if the tree's like this, and let's say I made my cut here. Okay, and the tree's starting to come apart like this. I'll score it right here. Sometimes it allows it to break off. The same way you would do a plunge cut, but when you plunge cut a tree and you cut that little tab at the end and let the tree go, it's the same concept. It's just you're doing it slightly different. You don't have a notch there. You just cut up, and the tree's coming down, and once it's holding itself there, to let that pressure go, you either score it here, and the tree will go that way, or you score it here, and the tree goes this way, right? So if you want the branch to come down, you score it here because it'll slide up. If you want the branch to but to push the branch forward, you cut it there. It's just little tricks you pick up. But yeah, so yeah, that tree is definitely you're going to need somebody experienced on that because that is a bar pincher and a half. But that's also why I'd like to have the other big saw is, you've got more power than you need and you got control, right? Where you're not going to bog down and slow down too much, so that if you do get it, you got enough time to give it a shot so you can get the bar out of there before it pinches. But a lot of times you could sort of just start, as soon as you start to feel anything change, you stop. And then you go at it from the other angle. But something like that, what you do, again, if this is your log and the pressure, okay, your log's like this and it's got all this weight on it, okay, what you do is you cut down the top until it starts to not quite start to pinch. And then what you do is you cut around, you come up, and come up like this is your log here. You can start here, come in, like this, okay, and then you come around, and then you take your bar, and if this is the log, you cut in. So now you have a square in the middle, and then you come in underneath, and then you come up. And you can do this a few times, and then really what it does is it takes your tree this big and it makes it a tree this big, right? And if you do this enough times, a lot of times you can just grab a sledge or something like that and give it one of the blocks a shot, and it'll usually break somewhere. And maybe what happens is your log just slides like this, and it pinches together, and you go, okay, well, give it a couple of whacks until it comes apart. If it doesn't come apart, cut another log, do the same, cut another log, do the same, and hit it again, and usually it lets it go, and then you don't pinch your bar or nothing. You basically you're taking down the tree by just like basically blunt force trauma. This is again little tricks like that, and that's something I was going to be showing you had I done that job. But again, the assessment is just like, okay, it breaks two of my main rules. Cutting near power lines and cutting near houses. In this case, it's a trailer, but same thing as a home, right? It's just, again, I hate to say no, because I know no means very expensive. You know what I mean? But I also have recommendations for her to take down the other trees. If she gets the arborist in there, but it's so god awful expensive to do this, because one's going to go across the creek, and I'm more thinking of myself here, but because it's going to dam the town, right? And that could be a liability because the tree's on her property, right? I don't know how that works. If a beaver falls a tree from your property across the road, it's on you to clean it up, not on the municipality or really like that. So I took the pictures of the other two trees, say, like, these trees are going to be a problem in the future. They're very big. You might want to have those assessed as well. They're not top priority, but I know that one tree, if it does come down, it's going to take off it's definitely going to take off the trailer, right? Like, it's going to hit the trailer and destroy it. So the question is how much does she value this trailer? You know what I mean? Like, it might be just worth it for her to get a guy come in with a skidder or whatever, fall trees. If it destroys the trailer, no problem. Just and pull that trailer out, right? And put another trailer there. You know what I mean? It might be worth it to do that. It's hard to say. It depends how she values things, right? So that'll be on her. It'll be her decision. I'll respect whatever her decision is. As my client, I'll give her my recommendations. My recommendation is go with a proper tree removal service to do the least amount of damage. But I know that's not cheap. Like, they don't have to fall the tree, so that saves you a little bit. But it comes where the money is spent is mainly in the cleanup after. So it's equipment to remove it. Like I say, if they're going to use a crane to remove it, like, you're looking at a lot of money for a crane, right? But if they can move it with a backhoe or a loader, might not cost as much, right? But you're still probably going to spend a few grand no matter what. But a loader could take that away, like a good sized loader, just with a clam on it, lift it up, drive away with it, whatever, they could do that. But they have to take like a two-man crew could do it. Just one guy in the clam, and one guy, as soon as the guy lifts up the clam, gets up on the roof or whatever and cuts it. But maybe he has to get up there and, maybe he's up there in a lift basket or whatever. I don't know. Like, it's whatever they would assess. Whatever tools they would bring. The more tools the more machinery they bring, the more expensive it gets. But there's no cheap way for her to do it. It's tree removal. Like, when I tell people I'm like $35 to $60 an hour to $100 an hour with the chainsaw on specialty jobs, most of the time I'm $25 to $30 an hour with a chainsaw, right? they don't realize, a lot of times they don't realize how good of a deal they're getting. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, like when you understand, like when I started explaining to, what was his name there? Guy I worked with, Paul has him as a kind of like a spare. He works with us every now and then. I've only worked with him once, but we were working. I was explaining to him, like, like, get good with the chainsaw, because I could use him on a job like this, if Paul didn't want to do it. But the thing is that uh, it's like he didn't realize like how much money you can make doing trees. Because you have to understand the risks, the insurances, the like tree removal is like the insurance itself is just astronomical. That's why they charge so much, right? Like, it's a business that a lot of people, like, you make a lot of money, or you go bankrupt. Your business, you go out of business like right away, because it's just the cost of doing the business is pretty high. So a lot of times guys will make a quote, and if they misquote and try to undersell the other guy, by the time they're done, they've paid everybody else. They paid for the machinery, the whatever stuff they're going to break, all that stuff, the damage, windows, whatever it is. A lot of times it's like, okay, they have to coordinate with insurance companies. I don't know if there's insurance on that place. I'm assuming probably not, but you never know. So, like, once you get into that kind of a game, it's like, it's big money. It's just big money. So if you're at the end of the day, you got to be able to assess and say, okay, well, we're going to be there for 2 days, full crew. This equipment's going to be there so much per day, so much cost, blah blah blah. This is the quote, and then it's like, it turns out, but we're only but here's the agreement. You sign this. We're cutting this tree and this tree. Not, hey, while you're at it, can you cut this, that? No, it doesn't work like that. It's this tree, this specific tree, this specific tree, and that's it. That's how you do it. You don't do the little extra, oh, hey, can you just get that? Because then you don't get things done on time. There's costs overrun, and then you don't get paid because you have to pay everybody else before you pay yourself, right? So that's why when you're assessing a tree job, like, you really have to understand how complex it can get and how out of control it can get right away. This idea, like, okay, I'll cut that tree for $500. Sure. If it's just plop it right on the ground, saw it up, and walk away, and let the guy clean it up, yeah, sure, easy money. Okay, you got to saw it up, you got to fall it, saw it up, clean it up, take it away. Okay, suddenly $500. Okay, well, I'll give you an idea. There was a huge, huge pine that blew over in a storm on one of my clients years ago, about 10 years ago. Carl and I, we worked on that one. I mainly had my little MS260 just doing the branches. This pine was so big, okay, it took me, it fell on like the hill on the way down to the lake, and it took me 2 days just to cut the branches off of this tree. The butt end of this tree was something like 42 inch. It was huge. The tree was like, if it wasn't 250 feet long, I don't know how long it was. Like, it was just, the branches were, some of the branches were like this. It was just, like, you couldn't just drag it away. It took us like 3 weeks to clean it up. It was, you know what I mean? Well, we didn't work just at that every day, but we it took us 3 weeks. It was 2 men, like, we, just to get the roundels, it took 2 guys to lift. You know what I mean? So we had to, like, bust them in half, like, sit there and bust them in half. Just like each roundel was like 180 pounds. Like, it was a brutal pine, dirty, dirty pine. I don't think there's anything that is more hateful than, like, pine, except for like red pine, or the one with the really thick razor sharp bark. Yeah, I hate that stuff. Oh yeah, you're sharpening your saw like every 15 minutes. Like, I swear to God. But that was a huge job, and it was for a client that we normally work for. So he got the deal of the century of just paying us by the hour, right? Yeah, like deal of the century, right? So for us, well, I could be doing this or I could be doing that. Doesn't matter. So I give my clients a better deal, and I think they truly understand that. Like especially one of my clients, where when I tell her I can't do a tree, you could just say, "Oh no, you mean I got to get I got to get the tree removal services?" I'm saying, "Unfortunately, yes, but you know." And she now knows how much money she saves when I bring my chainsaw. And so every time I bring my chainsaw, she throws me a couple extra bucks. I tell her it's fine, whatever, like. But I always get a little bit extra, an extra $20 or $40, just because she knows how much money she's saving. Because I'm like, I'm the cheap guy just because I'm your regular client. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. I won't soak my clients. So, but it's like you also got to be fair to yourself, and you have to make money. But you also have to assess risk. That's what it really comes down to, is assessing risk. So anyway, that's where I'm at with that. I'll have to miss this opportunity, but if I'm lucky, I get to cut it up in the spring. If I'm lucky, all the trees get taken down by a tree removal service, and with the caveat that they don't remove the trees and I remove the trees, and I can take that wood and burn it. If not, well, okay, whatever. Let them just deal with it. But it's if it's on the ground, I can saw it up, no problem. Once they're on the ground, um, I mean, I'm not going to make a lot of money doing that. You're just sawing up, so I'll just charge, like the 30 an hour or whatever. Sometimes with the saw, it's 35 an hour, but 30 an hour for that, just because it's really I'm charging $25 an hour, but an extra $5 for the fuel. It's basically. I don't give everybody the whole cost breakdown a lot of time, because then it seems like, oh, he's just trying to gouge me, right? Where it's just like, okay, it's all inclusive, the fuel, everything like that, 30 an hour, right? So I'm probably not going to burn $5 of fuel an hour on something like that. But that's probably going to be about 2 hours worth of cutting, to cut those trees up. It's a job. It's a job. So yeah. So anyway, I'll keep you guys posted. I'll let you know what she says. Maybe like she could probably deal with it in the spring. She doesn't have to deal with it right away. The tree is holding. I mean, the sooner she gets it off the roof, the better. But the tree is holding. But I don't think that trailer is going to survive the second tree when it comes down. So there's already 2 trees that came down. But the third tree, when it comes down, is probably going to take off the side of the trailer. So I'll let her know that, and then we'll go from there. All right, there we go.